everybody. Hello and welcome. It's a brand new episode. It's Hot for Teacher. It's episode number 35, which is the number of years old I am. So thank you for coming. Welcome to Hot for Teacher. I'm Adam Coble. If this is the first time you've ever seen me talk about anything, you might be like, who the hell is this kid? What is up? Why? What am I doing here? But let me tell you. So normally what I do is tabletop role-playing game stuff. Normally I'm dungeon mastering. Normally I'm playing games. I'm rolling virtual dice. I'm pretending to be a wizard. But today, and on every other episode, the other 34 episodes of Hot for Teacher, we're going to talk about relationships. This is a spin-off show from the Game Master advice show that I usually do called Office Hours. And in Hot for Teacher, we talk about interactions between people, because in role-playing games, a lot of what people run into are just problems that they have with other humans. It's just like people are behaving in a way that I don't like, or I have a complicated relationship with this person. And so after answering a bunch of questions about relationship stuff in Office Hours, I thought, why not just make a separate thing? And every week that I do an episode, I answer 3 questions from you, which I get from my website, www.adam-coble.com. Click on the Hot for Teacher link, fill out the form, ask me questions, and then we just discuss topics. We just hang out and we talk about 3 things. Today's questions are all from anonymous question askers. These are all people who have obscured their identity behind this great strange thing we call the internet. But whether they are anonymous or not, like you, they have questions. And so my goal for this show, the whole friggin' reason we do the thing, isn't just to be like, hey, look at the great drama of human chaos. It's to just bring stuff up and to talk about it and to kind of talk through it. I don't do any prep. I don't make notes. I just copy the questions that I think are interesting and I put them in the layout and then we just do it. So this is going to be kind of on the fly, as it is every episode, and we're just gonna kind of like chat about stuff. The purpose here is to just like reassure everybody that having relationship stuff, having like human complication, whether you are straight or you are gay, whether you are cis or you are trans, whatever kind of person you are, you're going to have relationships of some kind or another. And I think you will find that no matter how specific you feel your problems might be, there are other people that have similar confusion, similar troubles as you do. And for me, that's like the best part of doing this show, is to just be like, yeah, no, it's cool. Like the things you're going through, you're not alone. You're not alone in these things. And that I feel is a very reassuring fact. So even if we get through the next 50 minutes and I have not enlightened you in any meaningful way, you're around people that are having the same kinds of feels as you are. So our first anonymous question asker, he has some feelings. And this question, I grabbed it because I've had these feelings, and I'm pretty sure that everybody who has ever been mistaken for a straight person has had these issues as well. This is a fairly queer focused question, but I think it'll give you some insight. So I'm in my mid-20s, bi, and have been attracted to various people of various genders, but have only ever been in 2 long-term relationships, both of which were straight. I have a feeling about that I'm going to talk to you about in a second, but that statement is very interesting. I've had 2 short stints with guys, one of which occurred during a break in the first long relationship. Toward the end of this relationship, I had another stint with a guy, but it was short-lived. Around the same time, I fell for a girl, and we're still together. A few years later, we're very happy, and we both see this relationship lasting a long time. Maybe forever. I'm concerned that if this relationship does last forever, I will never have explored another part of my personality along with everything that entails. I'm worried this will lead to regret. My partner also feels this way, but we both came to the conclusion that neither of us are comfortable in a poly relationship. I'd be okay living with her and dating a guy if it wasn't a double standard, but we're both jealous people and have developed a trusting relationship with rules around that. Are other people in similar positions? Is this common in the world? Is it limited to exploring sexuality, or is it the same for a lot of straight people who settle for their first true love? What do people do in this situation? I suppose this is a set of open questions intended to initiate discussion. Thank you, Anonymous. But I want to make sure, I'm not sure I want to act on it in any way, so I'll ask, what do you think about this situation in general? So, are other people in similar situations? Fucking yes. Yes. Tons of them. This is like a deeply running thread for a certain part of the queer community that has been a thing forever and ever, as long as there have been non-straight people. Is it common in the world? I don't know. I don't have the functional data to say what is common or not. But like, a lot of people get into this situation. So let's talk a little bit more about Anon's specific stuff. Let's talk a little bit about the specifics of this question, and then we'll kind of get into the larger like thing, because I feel this myself. I have some personal connection to this question. I'm sure that if you're listening to this, there's a pretty good chance you felt it too. So let me talk about, I'm in my mid-20s, bi, and have been attracted to various people of various genders, but have only ever been in 2 long-term relationships, both of which were straight. Now, I don't think, and I don't know, I'm not a fucking professor of queer theory or anything. I'm not the gay pope. I don't get to make these calls, but I feel like, and this is a response to just the way this question was phrased, I feel like there's no such thing as a straight relationship, especially, or a gay relationship. I feel like people are bi. I feel like people are gay. People are straight, but relationships are not. Relationships do not have, they don't get assigned that thing, right? I think that hetero people in a relationship are enacting straight behavior. I think that a bi man and a straight woman in a relationship are presenting a hetero illusion to the world, but I don't think there's anything about a relationship that makes it that way. I think that anonymous question asker here, who is in their mid-20s and bi, I think that every relationship that you are in, by definition, is a little bit gay, because you're in it, because it's part of who you are. Right? Like, I think that, yes, maybe you have been cloaked in the hetero illusion, but that doesn't, the relationship is not straight because you're in it. Like, you can't have a straight relationship because you're not. So the reason that I want to talk about this isn't because I feel like it's really important to categorize stuff, because hello, I'm Adam Coble. I don't believe in that shit. But I think it's important to recognize that there is a difference between the core stuff of a person's identity and the relationships that they are a part of, right? Your relationships can be important. They can be significant explorations of your identity, of someone else's identity. They can connect you to a person. They can be significant, but your relationships don't define who you are, right? If I were to say, which I have done many times, if I were to say, I am a queer person, and someone were to say, well, cool, except that you're in a relationship that looks straight, where's your boyfriend, right? If I say to someone, I'm non-monogamous, and they say, why aren't you having sex with 15 people? To both of those, I would respond, fuck off. It's not about practice. It's about identification. It's about what you are versus what you do, right? Like, I think this is a thing that we get caught up in internally and externally as a culture. And when I refer to a culture, I mean like this kind of nebulous pseudo culture that has formed around being an LGBT like Q person, right? Being in this space and feeling like you're supposed to be part of a community, but also feeling like because you read, maybe you read cis or maybe you read straight or whatever because of your relationships, it doesn't invalidate your identity, right? It doesn't mean you suddenly like get your queer card revoked because people mistake you for being straight. And it doesn't sound to me like our question asker is, It doesn't sound to me like our question asker is like dying of guilt, right? It doesn't sound like they're struggling with that. But I wanted to bring it up because I know personally, I know a lot of people, myself sometimes, not so much anymore, but I used to struggle with this myself. A lot of people do, right? A lot of people feel like, well, I'm not queer enough. I am pan or bi, and I'm in a straight seeming relationship. And maybe I don't belong in this queer space, but I just, that's not how it works. And if anybody tells you, hey, you're not gay enough to identify that, just fucking light them on fire with your mind, right? Like they just don't get to make that call for you. I think that if you are struggling with this, if it's making you ask questions about your identity, if it's making you question that, if you're like, I'm just really comfortable in this straight relationship and maybe I'm not like bi at all, it's fine. But it's your choice to make. It's on you to decide how that affects your vision of yourself, right? Don't let other people tell you you're not queer enough. That's not really the question here. But Anon is kind of opening up the floor to some discussion around this stuff. So trust yourself. Trust what you feel, right? Live your fucking best life and let yourself be who you are and don't worry so much about whether your relationship is straight or whether you're straight or whatever. Like just, I don't know. Just be gentle with yourself about this stuff. I think it's totally fine. I think that if you are in a monogamous, straight passing relationship with a person who is of not your gender and everybody sees you as like a straight person in this monogamous relationship and you're very happy, then just don't worry about it. You win. You did it. You won the relationship fucking lottery. You were with someone and you're happy and you might be happy with them forever. Like, oh, how dare you? I'm actually really happy for you. And that's such a great thing to find. And this is a thing that I think that we do as human beings sometimes. I think that we get into this thing where we're like, I'm very happy. Something must be wrong. Something definitely is fucked up. I better find it and then fixate on that thing and then just let everything fall. No, just be happy. Just enjoy it. Just be stoked. I'm happy for you. If you want to be in this relationship with this person forever, that's awesome. And like your concern now about never exploring that other part of your personality, I think that's valid. I think that it is, and I have this in relationships sometimes too, where like a lot of the time I am the least monogamy prioritizing person in the relationships that I'm in. I'm fairly extreme in my viewpoints and feelings about monogamy and how it doesn't work for me and how I just want everybody to be able to experience life however they want. But the thing is that I think sometimes we get caught up in that obsessiveness, and that's tough, right? I think that it's tough to be like, well, wait, what if? Like, what if I'm not bi? What if I'm actually gay? What if I like meet a guy and I like fall in love with him, and then I have to deal with this whole thing between like wanting to be with this person that I'm happy with and in a relationship that I think will last forever versus like, what if I want to try the love that dare not speak its name, right? What if? And I get into this position too, but rarely about myself, right? I often am with people who I'm like, yeah, it's cool if you want to like go out into the world and like date other people and like explore those things. And like, who knows, maybe you're gayer than you think. Like you'll never know unless you let yourself explore that stuff. I am 100% pro people figuring their shit out, even if that comes at the cost of me having to deal with like self-doubt and jealousy. So I don't know. Like, I do think that monogamy, I will I will straight up say this. I do think that monogamy does prevent people from doing that sometimes. I think that if you say to a person, I'm only ever going to let myself be in love with you, I'm only ever going to put myself in a position where I can do sex stuff with you for the rest of my life, that means that you will never, right? We'll talk about why that's sarcastic quotations, why forever and never both they're not real. But you'll never get to experience that with anyone else as long as you are in this monogamous relationship. Like, that's just a thing you have to get okay with. And this is the cost, or no, it's a cost. This is the cost of monogamy, because the benefit, right? The thing you're paying for with that cost, the thing you're buying with that cost of exclusion is a bunch of other stuff, right? It allows you to feel maybe secure. It allows you to focus all of your amorous and sexual attention and energy on one person. It allows you to, I don't know, like, not have to feel jealous. Though that's horseshit. I think monogamous people feel jealous too. Like, it's not like they just get to exempt themselves from it. So you get to make a choice. And as with every choice, there are things you will gain and things that you will lose. And it sounds to me like you're saying no to non-monogamy, but you're still struggling a little bit with that cost. And I think that, I mean, you're in your mid-20s, which is like, people are going to act like you're supposed to be a grown-up. But if you're like, whatever, 25, I didn't even feel like I was a person until I was 29. Like, I was just a series of burning garbage fires pretty much until that point. So you do not have it all figured out. You have so much of your life ahead of you. So, like, the things that are true and universal and like a given now, I promise you that they won't be. And this is why whenever anybody says this relationship is going to last forever, so it may last you and your partner the rest of your life. That is possible. It may be that you and this person will be in this monogamous relationship until you are dead. But that's not forever. That's just the rest of your life. And it's a long fucking time, right? It is literally 100% of the time you have available to you, but it's not forever. Forever is a big, scary word. And I think that we assign that word to things in lieu of saying things like, I will love you until you're dead, or I'm dead. I'll probably love you after you're dead, but you'll be dead and it'll be different. Right? We use that word to assign massive value. And there's all of this psychological relationship stuff tied up in things like the wedding ritual and like all of that. So, like, I think maybe stop thinking about it as forever. Maybe focus on how happy you are right now, right? Don't borrow tomorrow's problems today. Just like be stoked. And if you get to a point, right, where you feel like maybe you're missing out, and often these kinds of feelings are background noise and hypothesis until you meet someone that embodies them. Because, Anon, that's usually how this happens, right? It isn't like, what if someday I hypothetically want to experience more gay stuff? It's usually I met a hot dude, you know? So don't invent that dude to cause problems for you today, but like leave room in your brain for the fact that you're in your mid-20s. You will change dramatically over the course of the rest of your life. Nothing is forever, but don't fuck up how happy you are now by just like being weird about the future. There may come a time where that pressure becomes heavy enough that you and this person that you love need to talk about. There may be a time where you need to be like, listen, I know that monogamy is our jam, but I'm in this place now where I've like met this hot dude and like we're clicking really nicely, and like maybe I want to explore that. What are we going to do? And I think that this is the thing, theoretically, hypothetically, this is the thing about having, I'm not going to say monogamous relationships because I think you can be alienated from a person you're in a monogamous relationship with, but this is the benefit of having deep-seated, powerful connections with a person over time, right? Having, let's call them anchor relationships. You hope that your life and this person's life will interweave in a way that when you express a need, that person will be able to express their needs and you'll be able to talk about it. Nothing is permanent. Nothing in a relationship is real except things that we give reality to, right? Just because you're currently in a monogamous relationship, that structure doesn't have to be true forever. So here's what I think you should do. Don't antagonize yourself over it. Don't feel bad about your future problems. Do not borrow anxiety from down the line. Be happy. Be in this relationship. Don't think about forever. Think about today. Think about how good it is now. Work on your communication skills with this person. Everything that you just asked me, this whole thing, verbatim, go to the person you are with. Go to this woman that you're in this relationship with and be like, here. This is what I'm thinking about, right? And then talk about it, right? Engage in that stuff. Don't let future anxiety block your ability to be open and honest. Because what is the point of being in a relationship with somebody forever? What is the point of having these relationships if we can't be ourselves, if we can't be open with people? And you don't have to change things now. You can talk about, like, someday I might feel like this. What do you think that would be like? Right? I will say, and this is just my inner, it's my inner resistance to hierarchy and enforcement structures. But I have to say, like, the red flag in this question is we're both jealous people and have developed a trusting relationship with rules around that. Rules and trust are enemies. If you trust someone, in my opinion, I'm not saying you're doing this wrong because every relationship is like, it's its own thing. But when I see phrases like that, I think rules are there to enforce behavior. And if people break rules, they get punished. Trust is saying, this is what I want. This is what I need. This is what makes me happy. This is what happens. And if you violate those things, I will be upset. It will risk the relationship. Please do with this information what you will. Right? Understanding the consequences that you might hurt them or whatever. I don't think rules and trust mesh together. I don't think that they work. I think that the more rules you have, the less trusting your relationship becomes. But I get that everybody is different, and that's just me. I'm just Adam Kobling at you. So I don't know. I think to answer your kind of broader question, what do I think of this situation? I think it's super common. I think that I have been in your position where I am in a straight appearing, monogamous appearing relationship as a queer person with someone who is straighter than I am, and I've wanted them to be able to explore, but I've also known that they wouldn't be comfortable with me doing the same thing. I think that equality and equity in relationships are different. I don't think that a double standard is really a problem. I think that you develop the patterns of your relationship in a way that makes sense for you. And I will say this, if you're happy, be happy. Don't shipwreck this thing by being anxious about a potential future, right? Be with this person. Be in love with them, have a great time, be happy, enjoy that. That's great. Keep doing that. And if the situation comes up in the future where you are not happy or you want something different, build the tools you need with this person so that you will feel safe communicating those things. Yeah. Honestly, I'm envious of you. It's such a nice. I mean, it's not to say that I'm not happy, because I am, but like, there's just something so nice about hearing that somebody is just like doing good. It's nice when your problems are hypothetical. I'd kill a man for some hypothetical problems. So our second anonymous question asker is a she/her question asker, and I'm gonna get out of her way here. So she asks, I am what most consider a late bloomer in terms of romantic relationships, meaning my experience in that area is non-existent. This is for several reasons, but the reason I want to talk about is the fact that I just don't know how to differentiate having a crush on someone and valuing the friendship I have with that person. Oh boy. Yep. I didn't grow up with many friends, and I'm a painfully shy person, so making new friends is hard. So when I do have good friends that I love with all my heart, I become absurdly happy, and I misinterpret those feelings of belongings as feelings of a romantic nature. I learned quickly not to act on these feelings and bottle them up till they pass, and I realized that's not healthy. While I don't want to cause unnecessary conflict over a fleeting fancy that may be desire for companionship, I also don't want to keep denying myself emotional relief by not telling the person how I feel. The problem is, I just don't know how I feel. I do love my friends, but I don't know how to interpret that love sometimes. What is your advice on figuring out your feelings towards someone and how to act towards that someone while you're figuring it out? Yeah. Fuck. I mean, you answered your own question, which is great. I think the thing here is that, so the reason I like this question, the reason I chose this question is, for me, it personally resonates really well because I spent a really long time going through kind of the same stuff, where my kind of journey from accepting myself as just like a person, a regular person that has the same ass feelings as everybody else, and like is just totally normal and definitely not at all aberrant from the normal way of having relationships, to where I am now, which is to say, like, very clearly understanding of the fact that I don't really have romantic feelings about people. I'm non-monogamous. I'm a queer person. Like, that journey involved a ton of this kind of questioning. Like, what is the difference between valuing someone's friendship and having a crush on them? What is the difference between loving someone with all your heart and romance? I don't think there really is one. Like, I just think that maybe it's intensity through a certain lens, right? It's an expression of intensity. I think that as you build affection for a person, two things are happening, right? It's going up in a neutral amount sense. It is quantitative. You are becoming closer to them. You are developing intimacy. You are getting to know them. You're getting excited about seeing them. You want to be around them. And as that quantity of intensity is increasing, as that quantity goes up, you might also be looking for ways to express that feeling. And the way that we express our intimacy, the way we express our deep-seated feelings for someone, might be a bunch of different things. You're essentially filtering light through a prism, and sometimes that comes out as romance. Sometimes that means, and this is the part where my like brain kind of like short circuits, but like I guess romance is like buying people flowers and going on dates. And like sometimes it's like wanting to have sex with them, but that's like different. I don't really know what romance is. I think it's like kind of a fake thing that we invented so that we could get people to get married. I don't actually know what romance is. And so when I don't know what something is and I can't clarify it, usually I will just make it up myself. And in my case, I kind of threw it all out and I just do other stuff instead. So what I think is important here isn't so much the differentiation between is this a romantic feeling and is this just a friend feeling, and kind of letting yourself feel what you feel and then figuring out what activities you want to do with people, right? So here's the thing, and I think this is much more valuable. Instead of saying what flavor, right? What flavor is my intimacy? Instead think what feels good for me and for these people that I am close to. How do we as a group, how do we express our feelings for one another? For some people, that will be we go on hikes and we eat burgers together and we take photos and we, I don't know, go on vacation together to Salt Lake City, right? Maybe that's it, right? But maybe with other people, it's we mash our genitals together. Maybe that's how we express our interest in one another. Maybe it's we gaze lovingly into each other's eyes and write Viking-style Eddas about the gloriousness of each other, right? Maybe that's what we do. So it's like you get to decide. Don't let anybody else, and I mean individuals. I don't mean like societal pressure. It doesn't matter. I think you get to make a decision, right? You get to make a decision about how you express your feelings for people. And I think that requires talking about it. So here's the thought. Here's the thought, right? Maybe you go out into the world and you let that intensity develop. Maybe you let that meter climb, right? Go out into the world, meet people, be into them, and let that happen, right? Let that intensity develop. Don't agonize over what flavor it is. Don't worry so much about it being romantic or friendly or whatever, right? Instead, let those feelings develop. And as you develop intimacy, just like I said to our first question asker, as you develop intimacy with a person, develop your communication skills with them, right? Like when we first get to know somebody, we don't really know how to communicate with them. We don't know what things they need to understand our feelings, right? We're building that language. And yeah, sure, maybe you both speak, I don't know, Mandarin. And so you're communicating in Mandarin. And that's fine. You have that base formula to work from. But whether you're speaking Mandarin or German or English or French or whatever, the subtext is finding out the ways that people learn. Right? And that for me is what is, I mean, that's what being close to someone is. That's what intimacy feels like to me, is knowing that if I hug one of my friends, they will understand that it means I missed you and it's nice to see you. But if I hug another one of my friends, it might also mean I want to touch your butt, right? Like understanding subtext with a person is so important. So what you should do is, as that meter is building, as your fucking intensity limit break starts to go up with people, work on your communication with them, right? Work on those good friends being a part of a communication network that you have. Learn about them, right? Get to know them. And it's so fucking rewarding. Oh, I love it. Like learning how people communicate, getting over those hurdles, and being able to know for a fact that when you say something to someone, they know what you mean. it's like the lights come on and fucking choirs of angels sing. Feeling seen is so good. So go for that, because then when you have that, right? When you sit down with someone and you are able to develop that protocol with them, when you know how to communicate and you get to a place where you can say, I'm having these intense feelings for you. How should we express them together? You've already got that groundwork laid. And then maybe you're going to get laid. Maybe that's how you do it. Or maybe you won't. But the thing is that knowing how to express your affection for someone in a way that is good for you and good for them is such an awesome feeling, right? Being able to say, I love you is one thing, but being able to say, I love you and I want to express that love by buying you things and writing Viking Eddas about your combat prowess, they can say, you know what? I don't feel comfortable with you buying me things, but let me introduce you to Hrothgar, my spear, right? Like, people want to be seen. They want to feel like the world is a rewarding place that they can live in safely, and they want to feel connected to people. They want what you have, but you want to give them room to tell you how to give it to them. Sometimes you want them to tell you how to give it to them. But that's okay. The thing is here is it doesn't matter if you're a late bloomer. Romance is ultimately kind of fake, and you get to decide what it is. You can figure out what works for you and this person. There's no prescribed formula. And in the meantime, honestly, like, the real question here was, what's your advice on figuring out your feelings towards someone? I don't know. Try stuff. I hate the myth that once you go over a certain line, then everything is weird and different. Like, I hate when people are like, I want to have sex with you, but it would ruin our friendship. And it's like, maybe it would, but like, you can't just assume that unless the person is saying, I have had negative experiences having sex with my friends, in which case you can say, cool, I'll put my genitals away and we can talk about other ways to express this stuff. Like, figuring out your feelings towards someone doesn't mean you have to do it alone. Talk to your friends, talk to random fucking internet broadcasters, talk to the person that you're feeling things for and get help, right? Fucking chat it up, spitball that stuff, right? And how to act towards that person, I don't know, like, just be friends with them and practice good consent and ask them the things they want to do and what feels good for them, and then just start your relationship with that, and then never, ever, ever fucking stop asking those questions. Romance is a series of activities. It's not a feeling. Human feelings are way, way too complex to ever be able to like say, these are the romance feelings. Sometimes romance feels like a deep-seated desire for revenge. Sometimes it feels like watching your favorite TV show. Sometimes it feels like you just want to bang them until you both light on fire and die. Like, there's a lot of variety in terms of how feelings express themselves, and what's fucking great and terrifying about having relationships is that you both get to and have to figure out what that looks like. Like, sorry, I guess, but also congratulations. Don't be afraid of uncertainty. Like, we all just need to give ourselves some more room to be uncertain, to say, I don't know. I don't know what would feel good. Let's fucking figure it out. Communication. It's the only way to do it. Our third question today comes from an anonymous lady. And this anonymous lady has some questions about what I consider to be, and maybe it's not, but like a fairly modern, this is maybe the most like call-in relationship show question I've ever had. It's kind of a modern communication problem. Speaking of communication, and I want to talk about it because I have some feelings, probably you have some feelings. There's like a deeper layer thing under this. Anyway, I'll let Anon explain. I tend to be bad at social stuff. Which is why I watch these videos of yours. I'm not sure if it's a normal thing for people to just stop texting mid-conversation and then never get back to what you texted. This keeps happening with friends and people I consider to be important and who I know I'm important to based on them saying so. But in all honesty, I don't know if I am because of this. In my mind, there are only 3 options as to why this is a common trend in my life. 1, it's just a thing people do. 2, there's something about me that makes people feel like it's okay to do so, right? Me being nice or something. Or I need better people in my life. I've talked to a few people about it upsetting me, but it just seems to always turn into them feeling bad or annoyed if I talk about it again. Me feeling bad for bringing it up at the end of the day, nothing changes. I have even tried not messaging back till they reply on it and have shown, some have shown concern about me and asked if I was okay, as they hadn't heard from me in a while, but most don't. It just hangs in the air till I message them again and start a new conversation. I get that people are busy and life has a tendency of happening, but it can't happen every time I chat with them, to the extent of not being able to message, sorry, I gotta go. Instead, they keep vanishing on me, which makes me wonder if I said something that I shouldn't, or that I could be annoying them, or something. Which I've also brought up, and every time I get an all's fine and that I didn't fuck up, so I just don't know. Do you have any thoughts on this matter? I'd really appreciate another perspective on this. So, kind of a hot topic because I am fucking busy. I am like 14-hour days. All my friends are far away. Texting, Instagram, Discord, whatever. I am a long distance busy friend, which sometimes means I'll be in the middle of a conversation and I'll be like, oh, fuck, I got to be live in 10 minutes. I got to go. And then you won't hear from me for 28 hours. Add into that, sometimes things just pop up, right? Sometimes I get busy. Sometimes I can't reply. Sometimes I have to disappear in the middle of a conversation because something came up that I have to deal with, right? I am a busy person who operates an entire business and a life alone. I have no like major nearby support. I have no one that I can like give some of my workload to, which makes me kind of difficult for a certain kind of person to be friends with. And then add into that things like time zones, and it's like total fucking chaos. But you know what I've learned to do? I learned to tell people that. I recognize that my life can generate a certain kind of anxiety for people, right? That if someone is trying to get to know me or someone wants to feel close to me, it can be anxiety inducing for them to not have access to me in the way that maybe they might be used to. So what I do is I talk about it, right? I tell people, hey, seems like maybe we're kind of like becoming friends. So let's talk about what that might be like. I'm really busy. I can be hard to get to, but when I make time for you, and it may be scheduled, right? You're not going to be able to casually be like, hey, Adam, can we play World of Warcraft for 6 hours? That'll never happen. But I might say, hey, can we schedule a couple of hours to play World of Warcraft together? And when we are playing World of Warcraft together for those 2 hours that I can spare, right? I'm all yours. Right? And sometimes this means that I have to put pressure on my friends. Sometimes it means that my friends have to pursue me. Sometimes it means that they have to be like, hey, Adam, we haven't talked in like 2 weeks. I'd really like to hang out. Can you schedule something? And I'm like, cool, I'll see you in 6 weeks. My favorite humans, the people that I connect with the best, are the ones who are able to maintain that connection over time without constant reassurance, right? But That's because I have talked to them. I have made clear my situation, and they have agreed, and they have told me, here's what I need for this to work. Right? And so what I'm kind of getting at here, the reason I'm kind of like making this about me is to show that it's not just people being assholes to you, right? You might have an Adam in your life, which is to say you might have someone who cares deeply about you and who would show up for you if you needed them, but they might just be so fucking busy that they can't always reply to you as fast as they want, but you'll never know unless you ask. And that brings us to the second part of your question. Because I think that one is true. I think that it's just a thing people do. People have reasons for being different about the way they communicate. But it sounds to me like you got some assholes in your life, Anon. It sounds to me like you're being fucked with. And that makes me mad. Because you've brought it up. You've said, yo, this sucks for me. And you got some not very good responses. You got people being like, oh, well, why are you making me feel bad? I'm trying, okay? Like, I want to... Like, just get off my back about it. Or they're like, what, again? Really? Like, just, that's how people text. So, like, just fucking get used to it. Fuck them, right? If you go to a person, and I'm being flippant about this because obviously, like, there's a lot more to it. But, like, if you go to a person and you say, hey, person, we were talking over text, and we were in the middle of something, and then you just, like, vanished. You didn't even say, like, BRB, or, like, I gotta go stream for 6 hours. You just fucked off, and that made me feel bad. And they're like, oh, your feeling bad is making me feel bad. Take that person, crush them into a tiny ball, and throw them into the sun. You don't need friends like that. There are reasons why they're being defensive. There are reasons why they're being shitty about this. It's probably not that they're dicks. It's probably that they don't know how to handle being confronted with the fact that they're like being shitty. When someone comes to me and says, hey, a thing you're doing is making me feel bad. Yes, 100%, absolutely, definitely. I feel some part of my brain is like, fuck you. Fuck you. You're the problem, not me. Shut up. Get out of here. I'm perfect. It's wrong. That part of me is an asshole. I don't let that part talk, but I feel it. I just do. Like, that's just a thing. It's part of a lot of like deep-seated stuff. And I think that it's easy to let that voice do the talking for you. It's easy for your friends to just be like, this problem, this is a you problem and not a me problem. So you go solve it and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. But if they're really your friends, they'll tell that voice, shut up, voice. Shut up. This person's my friend. This anonymous question asker, I care about them. Stop being so defensive. And instead, a good friend will say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I made you feel bad. I would like to do better. What can I do? How can we be better at communicating? How can I be a better friend and not fuck up your feelings with my bad texting habits? And it sounds to me like you're not even saying fix it. You're saying just do this. Just if you have to go, just tell me, sorry, I gotta go, instead of just fucking off and disappearing and leaving me holding the fucking ball made out of anxiety and barbed wire. You shouldn't be responsible for holding that ball, right? If somebody has to go in the middle of a conversation, you're allowed to be disappointed or bummed out or be like, cool, well, we were like having a great talk and then you had to disappear. But you understand why, right? They at least acknowledge, like, I gotta go. You have a partial solution. A good friend, someone who is like a decent person to you, will engage with that. But I gotta say, a good friend might also tell you, no, they will. A good friend will tell you that maybe what you need is outside of their ability to deliver, right? Like for me, to kind of bring it back to personal experience, if I have someone come to me and say, let's be friends. And I'm like, okay, like this is what being friends with me feels like. Sometimes this is how it works for me. Sometimes I gotta, right? I'm not always as available as some people would like. Sometimes they say, okay, well, I think we need different things. So maybe we won't end up being all that close, right? Maybe we'll have some other less intimate relationship, and it can feel sad saying no to intimacy. It can feel sad having a boundary that prevents us from being close to somebody. But no relationship is better than a bad relationship. And sometimes the right thing to do is to recognize your needs and talk about them with someone and be like, oh, okay, well, the thing that you need is probably going to make me feel bad. So let's not do this. I'll say this kind of as my closing point. It doesn't seem to me like, Anon, you fucked up really at all. You recognize that there is a situation in your life that's not great and you're feeling bad, and maybe you're turning that bad feeling on yourself, but needing things isn't a crime. I mean, unless you need to eat human flesh. I think that's a crime, that one. But like needing things from people, needing someone to just tell you like, yo, I gotta go. That's don't beat yourself up about that. Express your boundaries, communicate with your friends, tell them what you need, and trust them to help. And if they don't want to help, if they just get defensive and shitty, don't be friends with them. Which again, it's your life and not my life, and so it's really easy for me to be flip, but like you deserve better than to feel crappy. That's it. You deserve to be happy. I know, revelatory, but you do. It's true. It's true for you and you and you and you and me. I deserve to be happy too. It's just getting it is hard. Getting it is hard. Yeah. But I mean, hopefully I was able to help a little bit. Maybe if nothing else, I have encouraged you to stick up for yourself. That's what I hope. So speaking of establishing boundaries, I have a lot of other work to do. And while I'm really, really enjoying this conversation that I'm having with you, chat, I have to go. I have to go and do that. I've only got a couple of minutes before my next thing. So I'm going to wrap it up. I'm sorry if that feels bad for you, but there are 34 other episodes of Office Hours that you could go and watch. And I will be back again in a couple of weeks with another one. I can tell you that, and I will put it on I'll put it on my events page, and you can always find it there. And in the meantime, if you want to ask questions, if you want to get involved in the episode, you can do that. Just go to www.adam-koble.com, click on the Hot for Teacher link, fill out the form, and ask me your questions, because I really, really value them. They mean a lot to me. I can't always answer everyone's questions, but every time I get that email letting me know someone has put their trust in me to answer that question, it feels good. So please go do that. Participate in the show. Thank you for coming. This has been Hot for Teacher, episode number 35. I gotta go. But thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.